So I apologize for all those who have been wondering where I've gone. I had to take a few days to myself. We had family over, and so I couldn't really make too many videos because there's a lot of people up in the house, and I just I want to make sure that when I make a video, it is done without any distractions, disturbances. So I apologize, but I'm here. In the meantime, you've noticed there are new shows on Arana Nation, The Frontline with Joe and Joe, Robot News, Nation News, many different shows. We don't all agree on the same things, but we all agree that we want freedom, we want justice. We're all populists. We all want everybody to have the tools to succeed in our world. And with that being said, let me go on with this video here. So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. All right, because all these, you see all these Democrats up here, right? Mostly white Democrats too. It's mostly white Democrats. BLM, a lot of white people in there, I mean, but let me ask you this. They like to talk about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. This new thing, which I believe that Black lives should matter. But let me ask you something. Do Black lives really matter to these people? Do they? Just let that sink. Do Black lives really matter to all these liberals that Black people are jumping up and down for and praising and do Black lives matter to people like Joe Biden? Do Black lives really matter to George Soros? Do Black lives really matter to all these Democrat mayors all across the United States, which under their leadership, Black people have been living in squalid conditions? The streets aren't clean. The education system is poor. Black people in inner cities living on food stamps, can't get ahead, no way to get ahead, no way or real chance to get out of their neighborhood. I mean, do Black lives really matter to people like Bill de Blasio, whom the liberal mayor of New York, where Black people living on the other side of Fifth Avenue, not the Manhattan Fifth Avenue with the Ristons and the Trump Towers and Jeffrey Epstein's and all them rich, but the Brooklyn or the Bronx Fifth Avenue. Do those Black lives matter to Bill de Blasio? Do those Black lives matter? Do the Black lives in Chicago matter, where you've got criminals killing Black people like how we kill houseflies? Do those Black lives matter? Do Black lives matter to Kamala Harris, who is Joe Biden's new vice presidential nominee, who everybody's saying is the first Black, but again, the Democrats haven't chosen anybody who is fully Black. Kamala Harris ain't fully Black, just like Barack Hussein Obama wasn't fully Black, but Kamala Harris is half again. Another half person is being lauded. Why can't they find somebody who's fully Black? Why can't they find somebody who's fully 100% Black? I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to be racist, but, it seems that the Democrats, they find these half people and they say, oh, this is the first Black. Kamala Harris from California, who under her leadership, when she was attorney or whatever prosecutor, she had many innocent Black people locked up. I mean, Vice, the YouTube channel Vice. I'm a bit iffy on them. They have some good points, but I watched a very interesting documentary about a Black man named, what's his name here? I'm looking up his name. Jamal Trulove. Jamal Trulove. Kamala Harris, and this is what he was eventually found innocent. But Kamala Harris did everything she could to make sure that this innocent black man had his black ass locked up in jail. Jail! Does his life matter? Let me read to you this article, and this is Vice. It's not exactly, it's pretty left wing, but let me read this to you. Dirty Cops, a bogus eyewitness. Years in violent prisons, and a liberal politician whose star keeps rising. Jamal Trulove almost saw it coming. He figured he might be arrested or at least spend some quality time with police after his friend Sue Kuka was shot and killed one warm night in July 2007. Quote, when somebody dies in the hood, everybody feels like they're involved, unquote, he explained recently during a sit-down with Vice at the clubhouse of United Players, a violence prevention nonprofit based in his hometown of San Francisco. Quote, when someone gets killed, you can plan on getting jacked up by the police regularly, close quote. Trulove had made it out of the city's Sunnydale housing projects, his childhood home, where he had learned to record music and spent years selling CDs out of the trunk of his vehicle. He'd won an internet vote to appear on Love New York 2, a reality show on VH1. Though he was kicked off on the first episode, he had done enough right to relocate to New York City, where he was trying to develop another reality TV project and advance his music. But then he visited the mother of two of his children back in Seaside, California on October 2008, and his wrongful conviction nightmare began. He got into an argument with the kid's grandmother. The police were called, Trulove said. The officers went from almost bored to wide-eyed and agitated after running his ID, reaching for their weapons and shouting at him to get on the ground, he recalled. I'm like, oh man, whatever is this? I'll be out within 72 hours. The maximum length of time police can hold someone without charging them with a crime. But rather than investigate, as an appellate court later found, San Francisco cops tasked with solving Kuka's murder worked to frame Trulove as the killer within hours of the shooting. Though 24 or more people saw Kuka die, only a single eyewitness agreed to talk to police. And though she failed to pick Trulove out of the series of photos and identified someone else by name, police eventually coerced her into fingering him, including shortly after his VH1 show aired in 2007. An arrest warrant was issued the following year when a second person faced third strike felony charges, told police Trulove was the shooter. Now, let us fast forward a little bit to where Kamala Harris, this so-called first black vice presidential nominee, and not really black, but she's got like Indian, she's mostly Indian, really, married to a white dude. Nothing wrong with that, but like she's not black. She's mixed. I mean, they keep getting these mixed people and propping them up to be black. I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, are they trying to encourage like the elimination of the black race, just like they're trying to eliminate white? I mean, they're trying to, I don't know what it is, but anyway, let's fast forward to where Kamala gets involved. Trulove was transferred to jail in San Francisco, charged with first-degree murder, and brought to trial in early 2010. Despite no physical evidence linking him to the crime and the fact the eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable, he was convicted and sentenced to 50 years to life. For her testimony, the alleged eyewitness also received more than $60,000 in housing and relocation benefits from the office of a rising political star. San Francisco District Attorney Kamala, not really black, Harris. This so-called black vice presidential nominee, because Joe Biden thinks that Black Lives Matter, chooses a not really black woman whom tried to do everything possible, including bribery, to make sure that an innocent black man was to remain in prison for 50 years or more. Black lives don't matter to liberals. Black lives don't matter to liberals. You black people out there, you black folks in Detroit, you black folks in Atlanta, you black folks in South Bronx, you black folks in New York City, you black folks in South Central Los Angeles, black folks in Houston, black folks in Miami and in Charlotte and in Newark and in Washington, D.C. and in Baltimore, your life doesn't matter to liberals. Your life doesn't matter to Democrats. Your life doesn't matter to Joe Biden. Your life doesn't matter to Joe Biden. And I don't care how many times Joe Biden wants to try to gaslight me into voting for him, saying, oh, well, if you vote for Trump, you're not really black. I mean, who cares if Donald Trump, under his presidency, and I'm not saying Trump is perfect by any stretch of the word. Donald Trump is not perfect on the foreign. When it comes to foreign policy, I resent the fact that Donald Trump is trying to start a war with Iran, and I resent the fact that he's so close to Zionist Israel. If there's a war between the U.S. and Iran, I will blame the United States. If there's a terrorist attack caused because of Iran, I will blame the United States, because the United States doesn't know how to get out of the Middle East business, and as a result, they keep getting themselves into trouble. 9/11, all these terrorist attacks, it's because America can't seem to mind its own business and stay out of the Middle East affair. They keep, being so close with Israel, they've got nothing. But, so he's not perfect, but, and we're talking about black people here. We're talking about strictly black people in this video. Under Trump's leadership, more black people have been employed than at any time. Compare that with Obama, where more black people are on welfare and on food stamps than at any time. Black people have more money in their pockets under Donald Trump. I mean, black people are working more under Donald Trump. Now, I mean, I'm not saying black people are eating gold chocolate bars. No, it's far from it. And a lot of it has to do with black people themselves, too. We need to start understanding that we need to, learn to work harder and try our best. Yes, the system is stacked against us. I admit that. Yes, it is. But I mean, there are many examples of us who are getting up off of our bootstraps, getting on our bootstraps and working. We don't need anything from white folk. We can do this ourselves. Before the Great Society and before all these food stamps and everything, Harlem, New York, I was there just a while ago. Harlem, New York. Before all the Great Society and the Democrat welfare and all this nonsense, Harlem was completely owned and controlled by black people. Black city. Before gentrification and all that nonsense, the banks were owned by black people. The restaurants were owned by black people. The stores were owned by black people. Black people they dress beautifully, with hats on and ties and suits, and they jazz, all that stuff created in Harlem, New York. And then President Johnson in the 60s came along, and he said he was going to create a social safety net. But what he was really trying to do was create a fishing net to get black people to vote for him for the next 1,000 years. As he said, I'll have them niggers voting for me for the next 1,000 years. He said it. He said that. His black butler heard him say that. And so he created a fish net to capture black people with welfare and with food stamps and with RDP housing and subsidized this. And now look at us now. Now Harlem is no longer a black city. Harlem is a gentrified city. But anyway, so do their lives matter? Do their businesses matter? Do their way of life matter to the Democrats? Let's continue with Kamala Harris, though, because I'm on a roll with this one. Trulove's story of wrongful conviction and eventual exoneration has been told before. He even won a $13 million payout from the city of San Francisco. But now one of the key players is making a serious run for the White House. Kamala Harris. And Trulove is anxious and angry, and he wants to tell his story again. Rightfully so. This time including the role Harris played in it. He told Vice in his first ever interview about Harris and his wrongful prosecution as a marijuana legalization supporting Trump trolling 2020 Democrat presidential candidate. U.S. Senator Harris portrays her career in law enforcement as that of a progressive prosecutor, an empathetic and thoughtful purveyor of help who address the root cause of crime rather than merely punishing wrongdoers. But Trulove's case is perhaps the most glaring contradiction in Harris's record. One critics like him say is littered with carceral overkill she declines to acknowledge. Back in 2007, when Harris was San Francisco's DA, let me take these off here. I'm going to take these off because I feel that the sound is better when the headphones are off. So let me continue. Back in 2007, when Harris was San Francisco's DA, the city's homicide rate hit a 14-year high. 75% of the time, no suspect was ever arrested, though she faced no serious opposition and was easily reelected that year. Harris arguably wasn't making enough cases to win over the more conservative voters she might need to make a play for statewide or national office in 2010. That may have served to make winning murder cases like the one against Trulove all the more urgent. So basically, Harris, trying to court the folks who don't really like black people, who want to see black people locked up, she pandered to them, Black Lives Matter, and in doing so, she was reckless enough to get an innocent black man locked up, Black Lives Matter. According to Trulove, Harris was present at the hearings, announcing both the verdict and the sentencing in his case. She even briefly locked eyes with him at one of the proceedings, offering what seemed like a smirk, he said. She wanted to be present for a celebration of a conviction, Trulove said. That's what it felt like, a celebration. Harris's victories with voters followed the win in the courtroom, months after Trulove's 2010 conviction, buoyed by an endorsement from Obama, Black Lives Matter, and touting an increase in her office's felony conviction rate. Harris upset Steve Cooley, the Republican DA of Los Angeles County, by a razor-thin margin to become California Attorney General. She has not lost an election since, and was elected to the U.S. Senate the same night Trump was elected. So, it sounds like Kamala Harris, this so-called black woman, who's not really black, who is given the title of vice presidential nominee because Black Lives Matter, really her career got started off of Trulove and by locking him up, even though he was eventually proven innocent. So, if this is true, think about this. This is how Black Lives Matter to liberals. Think about this. We could potentially elect the first half-breed vice president, who everybody's saying is black, but this same first half-black president, vice president, got her career off the ground by locking up an innocent black man and making sure that he stayed there for the rest of his life. That's how her career got started, Kamala Harris. And now we're all celebrating her as the first black vice president, potentially. Because Black Lives Matter. Black lives don't matter. Black lives don't matter to these individuals. And I support Black Lives Matter, but I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. These people don't care about black people. If the Black Lives Matter movement had their way completely, black people would be living worse than the poorest person in Afghanistan, the poorest person in Somalia, Congo, Zimbabwe. It would be a disaster. It'd make Zimbabwe look like Beverly Hills. These guys are radical far leftists, and I'm not a conservative. I'm not a right winger. I'm an independent. I believe in common sense. I believe in freedom. I believe in redistribution of freedom and power. I'm not a conservative, but I'm not certainly not a leftist either. These guys are far left Marxists. Talk about reparations. Reparations for what? Who the hell? What reparations for what? Slavery? All the slaves are dead. I think even all the slaves' children are dead. What do you need reparations for? What are you going to do with that reparations when you get it? Are you going to build up your community? Are you going to fix it up? Or what are you going to do with the reparations if you get it? I certainly can't get reparations. On my father's side, we weren't enslaved on my father's side. We rebelled. My father's side, we were some of the earliest black people to ever reach North America. The earliest. In Central America, came on a Spanish ship. The ship was shipwrecked and we escaped. We whooped the Spanish butt, good and proper. That's why my surname, Arana, that's where it comes from. We're some of the earliest black people to ever reach the New World. My mother's side, I think, was enslaved, and as a result, there's a lot of European on my mother's side. I don't know if that has to do with rape or what. I don't think so, because I believe that my great-great-grandmother was mixed or something like that. She's like Kamala, But in any case, I wouldn't be deserving of any reparations. At least from, I'm Canadian, so, would Canada give it to me? My family hasn't, the first generation to reach Canada were my parents. America sure as hell can't give me any. So, what is it? Reparations for what? Defunding police. Well, all that's going to do is see to it that more black people in Chicago are killed, by their own kind, by the way, than there is. And I'm not defending police, by the way. I'm not defending police. There are a lot of bad police. Police wrongfully locked up a good friend of mine, Kevin J. Johnston. The police are corrupt, and it's the police who are going to lock us up when they decide that forced vaccination is the way to go. And I'm not going to take any vaccine. They can lock me up if they want. So I'm not defending the police. I'm not. However, what good is it going to do defunding them? What is that going to do? What is that going to do? What is that going to do? Okay, so you won't give them as much money. So is that going to magically end everything? I don't think so. Okay, what if we abolish the police? So what happens then? Are we doing community policing? Well, if you have a dispute with someone in the community, next door neighbor or something, and they're the ones who are responsible for policing. Who knows what they'll end up doing to you? You'll probably wish the police come back. And by the way, these so-called people who want to defund the police, the moment you even look at them in a bad way, it's the police, 911 they go for immediately. Me, I never called police. I don't believe in calling police. If you come here right now and you threaten to kill me, I'm going to bust your ass myself. Or I'll die trying. I don't really believe in 911. I rarely call 9. I don't want police to help me. I believe in people being armed, guns. I don't believe in too many gun laws. I believe in that strongly. I believe in everybody having the proper means to defend themselves by any means possible. So, I'm not, defunding police really isn't going to do anything for me because I don't rely on the police too much anyway. But these people, a lot of the times, these leftists, and I deal with them all the time, the moment you even raise your voice with them, they threaten you with the police. They threaten you with the police. It's the police. These guys are just blowing smoke up our ass. They're just talking out of their asshole. So no, this whole thing is just nonsense. And you get rid of the police, as I said, Chicago, more black people are going to end up getting killed. More. And Black Lives Matter don't talk about them. Do their lives matter? No, they don't. Black lives don't matter in the inner cities of the United States where they live in poverty and it's getting worse, not better. Black lives don't matter for children who are stuck in failing schools in the inner cities. Black lives don't matter to victims of crime in Chicago because the Democrats are so weak on crime, and they don't really address, and they don't even care about the causes of crime. Black lives don't matter to those people. Black lives doesn't matter to Joe Biden. He's got this woman, Kamala Harris, who tried her best to keep an innocent man locked up in prison. Black lives don't matter. But what does, black lives, conservative black lives sure as hell don't matter. Those white liberals, they would do anything to get someone like Clarence Thomas or Ben Carson or Alan West or any of those black conservatives. They would kill them in an instant. They would kill. They tried to ruin Clarence Thomas's career back in the 90s. Ruin him. If they could see him standing on the street begging for money through a coffee cup, they'd be so happy. Conservative black lives don't matter to liberals. Black lives don't matter to liberals. So really, you've got a choice here. And I'm not saying Donald Trump is perfect. He's not perfect. On the foreign scene, he's not perfect. I give him an F for foreign affairs. Domestic affairs, I give him an A++. Foreign affairs, he's too much of a Zionist. He's trying to start war with Iran. He's too close to Saudi Arabia. F. Like almost all the presidents of the United States since maybe Eisenhower, they all get an F on foreign policy. But when it comes to black issues, more black people getting jobs, more black people have money in their pockets. He's trying to keep black neighborhoods safer for black people, not for white people. White people don't live in the South Bronx. I mean, I'm just saying it tongue in cheek. White people have nothing. Don't care about those ghettos in Chicago and Los Angeles. White people don't care about it. White people, they left Detroit a long time ago. It's not for white people he's trying to keep those streets. It's for black people, black old women, black old men, young black people who are trying to get an education and don't want to fight and act the fool. He's trying to keep it safe for them. He's not trying to keep those streets safe for white people. What white person you see up there in Detroit? I mean, a white person walking around the worst streets of Detroit, I would stop him for questioning. What's he doing over there? Are you trying to find drugs? What are you doing over there? You know, he's not trying to keep Detroit safe for white people. White people are living in Livonia or in Bloomfield or, you know, so you know, it's black people. So you can vote for Biden, who doesn't know how to string two paragraphs together and who nominated a racist, not really black woman, Kamala Harris, who wanted to keep an innocent black man in prison for the rest of his life as his vice president. Or you can go for Trump, who is who has successfully brought black unemployment and black youth unemployment to an all-time low, trying to keep the streets safe for black people, even though the liberals who run those cities are trying to stop him, trying to stop illegal immigration, which hurts black people the most. It helps white people because those rich white folk, they'll hire those illegals, illegally, by the way, as their nannies, as their servants, as their yard keepers and all that. Black people who get jobs that illegals take, that hurts black people. When illegals go to the United States, it hurts black people because the illegals take the jobs that working class black people usually take. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. That hurts black people. So Trump is helping black people by building a wall and trying to stop illegal immigration. And you got these foo-foo jigaboos up here trying to say we need to open up the borders, we need to stop ICE and all that stuff. That's going to hurt black people. Your life doesn't matter to those foo-foo jigaboo black folk. No, it doesn't matter. So he's black unemployment all-time low, trying to keep American jobs, those type of working class jobs for working class Americans and especially black people, trying to make the education system better, and trying to keep the streets better. Under Obama and Biden, more black people on welfare, more black people on food stamps, more black crime. Education system was a mess. Those are the facts. Those are the facts. Those are from the U.S. government, which Obama was running at the time. Obama admitted there were more black people on food stamps under my presidency. He admitted it. He said it. His government admitted it. What more proof do you want? So you black folk out there, y'all stay there. Y'all stay there. Y'all go on. Go on. Go on. Hey, I'm talking to you out there in Detroit and New York and Atlanta and Los Angeles, Chicago, Miami, Houston, Dallas, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Nashville. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Richmond, Virginia. I'm talking to you. Hartford, Connecticut. I'm talking to you. Boston, MA. I'm talking to you. Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I'm talking to you. You stay there and go on for Biden and Harris. Those people don't give a damn about you. Biden, he helped write the 1994 crime bill, which saw even way more innocent black people and very unthreatening black people locked up. Droves of black people were locked up because of the crime bill of 1994, which Joe Biden co-authored. So you got Joe Biden, who co-authored the 1994 crime bill, which saw more black people lose their freedom at any time in the United States since slavery. And then you've got Kamala Harris, who got her career started by making sure and trying her best to keep, unsuccessfully thankfully, to keep an innocent black man locked up in prison. So there you have it. Biden and Harris. The ticket that locks up more black people than any other ticket imaginable. Then you've got Trump, Pence, not perfect, but more black people got jobs, more black people have more money in their pocket, youth all that stuff. That's a choice you have. If black lives really matter, I'm not saying you have to necessarily go for Trump, but if black lives really, really matter, you will think long and hard of who you are going to vote for in 2020 in the United States, if they really matter. Now, if they don't really matter and you're just blowing smoke up our asses, then, go for Biden and Harris, who lock up more black people. And go on then. There's nothing more I have to say then. It'll just be clear that black lives don't matter. But if they matter, you will think long and hard of who and what you want to support and what you want and who the type of people, what the track record that they have, the type of people you want running the United States of America. This is the Arana Nation.